Talk to her as if she was already your girlfriend or wife of 11 years. If you're a man and you want to find the right girlfriend, life partner, or wife, and you sometimes struggle with a degree of nervousness, here's one powerful technique to bring more comfort to your initial interactions with women, be that if you meet them during the day, at night, or when you happen to meet them on the date. A lot of us assume a degree of unfamiliarity. Unfamiliarity. I don't even know how to say it properly. Pardon me, English is my second language. We enter the interaction with a degree of distance. We feel like we have to open the interaction, we have to build rapport. And while all these things are technically true, we sometimes bring an unnecessary degree of distance and unfamiliarity to the interaction. If you talk to the girl, the woman, the lady, be that shopping mall, Starbucks, bar, nightclub, when you happen to meet her for a coffee date, or ideally alcohol-free drinks, the way you would speak to her as if she was already your girlfriend or a life partner or a wife of 11 years, you'd feel a lot more relaxed. Here's the genius behind that technique. Simply ask yourself, how would I talk to her? How would I feel around her if I was already in a relationship with her for 11 years? You'd probably just relax a little bit. You'd sit back, maybe your shoulders drop. You'll definitely notice a change in physiology. You'll notice that your focus may change. Your focus might move from how can I impress her to how can I enjoy this interaction? How can I bring a degree of self-amusement to the interaction? How can I make it fun and playful? You might have a shift in your inner dialogue from, oh my God, I'm never going to get things right, from complete overthinking to, oh, all of a sudden things calm down. And while this isn't the only solution, and there's many more ways to build confidence, it's a very powerful one. And you can bring a degree of comfort into any situation. There's a useful mindset that anybody I meet is either a brother or a sister. Are there people in this world who are purely evil? Of course. Do you have to be careful? Of course. But in general, it's useful to ask yourself the question. I believe it was Albert Einstein. I'm not sure. But I believe it's him who said that one of the most important decisions you'll ever make in life is whether you live in a friendly or a hostile universe. And if you make the decision that overall, the far majority of people are kind and caring human beings, are really good people, and that in fact I do live in a friendly universe with a couple of bad apples, then these interactions will become a lot more peaceful, and you'll find it a lot easier to just start conversations with people everywhere, which is, by the way, something that you should do. If you're a man and you work in an office most of the time, then, or let's say maybe your job doesn't involve too much speaking. Maybe you're quite in your head a lot, or maybe you do speak a lot, but you just don't speak to women that much, or you don't speak in a social context, only in a professional context. Then it's absolutely useful to start conversations with people everywhere. You're in a supermarket, you're in Whole Foods, have a nice 15-second interaction with a person behind the till. Brighten her day. And all of that will become easier if you decide I actually live in a friendly universe, because I already know these people. We're already connected. And that's just an idea to play with. Is it true? Well, maybe, maybe not. But here's the interesting thing. I believe at a macro level, in terms of policies and politics, we should definitely aim to believe in what's true. But at a personal, at a micro level, the validity of a belief can be assessed upon its utility, not so much how true it is. And is that true almost always? No, but oftentimes it can be useful to evaluate the belief based on how useful it is. Is it useful to believe I live in a friendly universe? How is it going to change my attitude? If I believe, not fully, but if I ask myself the question, how would I talk to her if she was already my girlfriend, life partner, or wife? That doesn't mean that I'm going to be disrespectful. That doesn't mean I'm going to touch her in a weird way. You're always going to be respectful. You're always going to be calibrated. You're always going to be based in objective reality. But you're going to relax. You'll bring a degree of comfort to the situation that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And it may boost your confidence a little bit or maybe a significant amount. The quality of our life stands in direct proportion to the questions we ask ourselves on a daily basis. And a problem is simply a question that either hasn't been answered or asked in the first place. So if you have a problem, ask yourself, what's the question that hasn't been answered? If you have a problem in your dating or your relationship life, what's the question that I either haven't asked or answered? And so if you ask yourself the question, what if she doesn't like me? What if she rejects me? What if I'm going to be alone forever? What if I'll die alone? Well, that will prime a very unresourceful state because your brain doesn't care whether the question you ask is empowering or disempowering. It'll supply you with an answer. And if you ask a disempowering question, you will have images or sounds or sensations internally. Your internal representation will be presented to you according to the question that you've asked. And if you ask yourself, well, what if it goes wrong? Well, your brain will give you all kinds of horror scenarios, all kinds of dystopian fantasies of you dying alone in a rocking chair, an 85-year-old man with a cat who doesn't even like you anymore, or some shit, you know? But if instead you ask yourself, what if I can actually pull this off? What if it goes well? Or if you ask yourself, she's pretty, I hope I like her. How would I talk to her if she was already my girlfriend? How would this interaction be? How would I feel about myself? How peaceful would my mind be? How peaceful is my mind around the people that I already love and care and deeply trust? That is not to say that you're then going to proceed to share intimate details that that person hasn't earned yet. Obviously not. But you'll bring a degree of emotional and non-verbal comfort to the situation that she will respond to, because you have to keep in mind, women don't just react to the words. Yes, words matter, but they react way more to your non-verbal communication. Now, counter-argument, how much words matter. Imagine if I had started this video and I had insulted you. Hey, you're an... Wow. That would feel different, wouldn't it? Imagine we were to have a conversation in person and the second word out of my mouth would be a hefty insult. You would most likely experience hefty negative emotions towards me. One word can give the entire interaction a different meaning. I posted a screenshot on my Instagram story earlier of how I helped a client with a Tinder conversation, how I saved it because he was about to mess it up, which is something that I do for my clients not on a daily basis, but 6 days a week pretty much. Because one wrong word on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge can really mess up the conversation. In person, you have to understand these opposing paradigms. You have to optimize your verbal communication, the actual words, but you can't overthink it. So you have to understand what are the things I really shouldn't be saying. An example is never tease her for anything she can't change. That's one. There's many more, but yes, you have to optimize the words that come out of your mouth, your verbal game, so to speak, but at the same time, you can't constantly question yourself. Imagine if I was to overthink every word that comes out of my mouth, I'd be completely stifled. Or be reading off a teleprompter. Have you ever seen people do videos and they read off a teleprompter and it doesn't seem human or natural at all? Remember, this is a social, and in business you might even get away with it because you're trying to convey information in the most structured and concise way. But in a dating context, you got to be playful, you got to be flirtatious and fun. Therefore, you got to enjoy it, but you're not going to be able to enjoy it if you question yourself all the time. So understand that whatever comes out of your mouth is valuable because it comes from you. That doesn't mean that you get to insult her, that you get to be disrespectful, but you ascribe value to your spoken word. And that is so important. Hear me now. Hear me now. Most men that I speak to are really kind, good people. These are men who have their life in order. Oftentimes they have great careers, great jobs, or they're at least ambitious in one area of their life. But when they're around women whose love they desire, whose validation they want a little bit too much, all of a sudden, they ascribe zero value to their spoken word. I'll give you a practical example. You ask her, have you ever had this? You're on a dating app, Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, Match.com, you're texting with a lady on Instagram or via message, somebody you know, somebody you just met, it doesn't matter. You ask her a question, hey, let's meet. So let's say you ask her, hey, how was your day? Oh, by the way, let's meet. She ignores the invite to the date, only responds to something else, or she carries on as if you hadn't asked her out. Have you ever had something like that where she ignores a vital part of the question, perhaps even the most important part, which is the date invite? Well, oftentimes men then simply continue to talk about the last thing she talked about, and they ignore the fact that she ignored the date invite. She will lose respect for you instantaneously. How would you act if she was already your girlfriend, life partner, or wife? You'd be like, hey babe, question mark? What's going on here? So, question mark? You have to put your on the table. Gotta be respectful, gotta be kind, but you have to understand that women will reward you in the short term what they will punish you for later in the long term. You may give in, you may act like a little in the short term, and they'll reward you. They'll give you a little pat on the back, and they'll be happy in the moment, but they will lose respect for you later on. And understand that, now again, most men, they don't even know how to communicate their needs and their boundaries in a relationship of 11 years anyway, so the question may not be even ideal. But if you ask yourself, if I had an amazing relationship and I would really show up in my masculine way, in a kind, respectful, but in my masculine way, how would I then act around her? And there's a degree of comfort. I would demand a degree of respect that I'm willing to give in advance, obviously. So this is a very, very powerful tool. Again, if you want me to help you personally, find the right girlfriend, life partner, or wife, apply for a free initial consultation call. There's way more of those techniques where this one came from. Regardless, try this out. The next time you meet a lady, during the day, at night, on a date, really just ask yourself, just sit there internally. Don't utter the words out loud, obviously. 5 minutes before you go to the date, even while you're on the date, maybe she goes to the bathroom for a second. How would I talk to her if she was already my girlfriend? Wish you all the best. Take care.